American administration continuously very sympathetic about Tibet, and then both houses and both party is very, very supportive. Like that. So America as a leading nation of a free world, so it is their moral responsibility. So they are carrying that. So very good.
क्या परम पावन जी ने अपना उत्तराधिकारी चुन लिया है और क्या वो भारत से है?
As early as 69, one my formal statement, I stated the very institution of Dalai Lama should continue or not up to Tibetan people. So I consider study of Buddha's teaching, particularly Nalanda tradition, that is important, including Dalai Lama's institution. This institution, a certain time comes, now certain time will disappear. That's not important. Important is study, study, study. I always used to say, urging Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhists and Chinese Buddhists, so on. I usually say telling them, we Buddhists should be 21st century Buddhist. That means through study, fuller knowledge about Buddha Dharma, then faith. That's 21st century's Buddhist faith. Just blind faith. Oh, Buddha, Buddham Shanam Gacchami, Dhammam Shanam Gacchami, Sangham Shanam Gacchami, without knowing what is Buddha, what is Dharma, what is Sangha. That's not much useful. So therefore, Dharma institution, not important. Important is study. So I urge Tibetan historical monastic institution we re-establish in South India, where Tibetan settlement, bigger settlement there. So now today, the number of students in these monastic institution, around 10,000 monks student. And I think at least 6,000 students come from Himalayan range, from Ladakh up to Men, Arunachal. So they are the important study and fuller knowledge about Buddha Dharma. Through that way, Buddha Dharma will remain another, I think, 1 century or 2 centuries. Although I respect all religion, like Judeo-Christian, Islam, or Sikhism, all major religious traditions I respect. However, Buddha Dharma, and particularly Nalanda tradition, very much emphasis on reason. Buddha himself, you see, advised us, we should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. So, number of Indian masters, such as Nagarjuna and Buddhapalita and Dharmakirti, Chandakirti, you see these great master, scholar of Nalanda, they rejected some Buddha's own word. If you accept this literally, it goes against reason. Therefore, we must reject. So therefore, the Nalanda tradition very much emphasis reasoning, investigation, like that. So therefore, I think modern science also, you see, no faith, not faith, investigation. So now today, quantum physics, very similar Buddhist philosophy viewpoint. Chitta Mantra and Madhyamika, similar. So late Raja Ramana of Indian, great, I think, physicist. You see, he once told me, quantum physics in the West, something new. In India, in this country, over 2,000 years, the quantum physics already developed. It is very true. I notice when I discuss with number of scientists, including quantum physicists, then sometimes I feel I know better than them. So therefore, you see, now some Buddhist scholar, and including some Chinese Buddhist scholar, now they describe Tibetan Buddhism is true lineage of Nalanda tradition, and the Nalanda Buddhist tradition is a very scientific religion, they say. So here, I'm very, very happy and a great honor comes more here, this ashram. Since many years, we know each other. And also, I know, you see, this also. So now, I think essentially, we three sadhu. Differences, they have the bear. One white bear and black bear. I have no bear. But actually, we all following the 1,000-year-old India's tradition. So in philosophical field, there is differences. Even within Nalanda tradition, in philosophical field, there are differences. It is necessary. Different people, different mental disposition, we need different philosophical thinking. However, all the Indian tradition, they practice three practices: Shila, Shamatha, Vipassana. We are same. So, the Buddha himself, the follower of ancient Indian tradition, except differences, Atma and Anatma. But that is our private business. So, we carry the 1,000-year-old India's culture or India's sort of concept, ahimsa, karuna. And that also not only through prayer, but analyze about our emotion. And with fuller knowledge, with system of our emotion, then you see, try to reduce anger, hatred. These are the sources of violence. So India's main teaching is ahimsa. And action level, ahimsa, non-violence. Mental level, karuna. Karuna is the opposite or counterforce of anger, hatred. So these are Indian tradition. We all follow that. So that 1,000-year-old India's tradition, ahimsa, and Karuna, I feel today's world, now 21st century, I think these Indian tradition very, very relevant to today's world.
यूएस ने चीन को विश्व के लिए खतरा बताया, उस पर आपका क्या कहना है?
I think that's a little bit delicate, so maybe silent meditation.
His,
तो इससे का क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा वो है जटिल, तो इसके लिए लग रहा है कि मुझे अभी शांत रहना चाहिए.
अंतिम प्रश्न
Of course, it's China,
हमारा ये अंतिम
most
प्रश्न होगा.
populated nation on this world. I think, around 1.3 billions. India also 1.2 billion or something like that. So these two nations, India and China, is the most two populated nation, and both are ancient nation. And China, basically Buddhist country. When I was in China, 1954, 55, a few months I spent in China and visit different area. So everywhere Buddhist temple, like that. And Peking itself, you see, there are some Buddhist temples, like that. Some Buddhist temple, you see, this structure is according Tibetan style, like that. So naturally, I think Buddhism, the person who introduced Buddha Dharma in China, the main person, Hunzang, Shenzang or something, he came to Nalanda and studied. And then he returned, introduced Buddhism according to Nalanda tradition. So differences, now we Tibetan, you see, we very much pay attention for logic, Brahman. Chinese not much.
His Holiness, one small question that is non-political. Hinduism and Buddhism are two great religions, but the world is right now broken into conflict at many different regions. Where do you see that these two, Hinduism and Buddhism, can unite the world, and how you assume, how we presume that a strong India will be a great nation and show light to the world at large?
India, I think, have some potential to help humanity. Firstly, ahimsa, karuna. World need that. And then religious harmony in this country. The Sankhya philosophy, ancient, about 3,000 years. Then Jains, then Buddhism, and many subdivisions. All these, and then from our side, Islam, Christian, come here, settle. I think one good example is Zorazuddin in Bombay, Parsi. Very small community. But in Bombay, big city, millions of Hindus, Christians, Muslim, less than 100,000 Parsi. Very peaceful. So that is India. India have over 2,000 years religious harmony there. This, I think, India must show outside world religious harmony is possible and on the basis of mutual respect. So I think world needs religious harmony. Sometimes in the world, present now, even today, some area use the name of religion, then killing each other. Unfortunately, Burma, Buddhist country, and some Buddhists, you see, killing some Muslim. And then Muslim world, Shia, Sunni, is a follower of Allah and same Quran. However, in little differences, and Shia, Sunni killing each other. Very sad, unthinkable. In the name of religion, now killing each other, unthinkable. Now, in that respect, India have, I'd say, moral responsibility to show world religious harmony. Very possible. Look here, over 1,000 years, religious harmony there. So therefore, these two things to show humanity, ahimsa and karuna, and then regarding religion, religious harmony. I feel that.
And the strong India in the country, which is a strong India, will be a good light to the world. Do you think so?
What do you mean strong? In weapon?
Weapon as well as about economy and as well as religion, all three together.
I think India, since 1,000, 2,000, more than around 3,000, always, you see, they carry the concept of ahimsa and karuna. So India should make effort for demilitarization of the whole world. I really feel. Now I have, you see, some sort of idea or views. Modern India, I think, too much westernized. India, I think, should combine modern education, very useful for technology, science, and so on, in economy. However, these modern education, you see, completely fail to bring inner peace. So now, ancient India's sort of knowledge, ahimsa, karuna, you see, that also not through prayer, but through, you see, fuller knowledge, usually I call map of emotion. Then use human intelligence. What is use? Anger, hatred. Even now scientists say constant anger actually eating our immune system. This now scientists say. And then scientists also say human being are social animal. So basic human nature is more compassionate. So now on that basis, in education, we should include education about how to deal on destructive emotion. So these days I now stress from kindergarten level, we should include while we teach children hygiene of physical health. Meantime, hygiene of emotion must be there from kindergarten level up to university level. I think India has the resources how to tackle our emotion. So India, only nation who can combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge or education combined. Then material development plus inner peace. That's, I think, very important. These are, I'm not talking about next life or nirvana. Simply how to build happy society, happy individual, like that. Whether believe karuna, nirvana, these up to individual. I feel like that. And here I think India, 1,000-year-old tradition of secular. So religion is private business. So this is a peace of mind, is everybody's sort of concern. Ultimately, 7 billion human beings, in order to harmonize humanity, this India's 1,000-year-old tradition is very relevant as an academic subject. So indeed, I'm very happy. Come here once more. And many of you, long time friends, so something like reunion. And I'm very happy you carry continuously the serving humanity through spiritual way. Wonderful. So please continue. That's all. Thank you.